Have you ever noticed that the more you explore profound ideas, the more distant you feel from those around you? That the deeper you understand reality, the fewer people seem willing to engage? If so, you're not imagining things. History shows us that society often distrusts those who think deeply, not because they are wrong, but because they reveal uncomfortable truths. Think about some of the greatest minds in history: Socrates, Nietzsche, Hypatia, Tesla. They weren't just ignored, they were often ridiculed, silenced, or even persecuted, not because their insights lacked value, but because they made people uneasy. Arthur Schopenhauer once argued that intelligence is a double-edged sword, one that grants clarity but isolates the thinker from those who would rather not see the world as it truly is. But why does this happen? Why does society instinctively resist deep thinkers? The answer lies within human psychology. Imagine standing next to someone who is physically strong. You might admire their strength, but it doesn't diminish your own sense of self-worth. If you meet someone wealthy, you may envy their success, but it doesn't make you question your intelligence. But when you encounter someone who thinks deeply, who challenges the very assumptions you take for granted, it's different. Psychologists call this the cognitive mirror effect. Deep thinkers don't just offer new perspectives, they reflect back the limitations of those around them. And that's something most people struggle to accept. Unlike wealth or physical power, intelligence threatens a person's core identity. We define ourselves by our beliefs, our knowledge, our perception of the world. When a deep thinker questions these foundations, it can feel like an attack, even when no harm is intended. Instead of sparking curiosity, it triggers defensiveness. Instead of inviting conversation, it often leads to resistance. This is why, throughout history, intellectuals and visionaries have often found themselves at odds with society. Their ideas don't just challenge the status quo, they challenge egos. And people by nature will go to great lengths to protect their sense of self from disruption. Consider your own experiences. Have you ever introduced a profound or complex idea in conversation only to be met with awkward silence or dismissive responses? Have you noticed how quickly discussions shift back to trivial matters when depth is introduced? This isn't just social dynamics at play, it's a psychological defense mechanism. When faced with a deep thinker, people subconsciously retreat to what is familiar and comfortable. Rather than embracing intellectual challenge, many prefer certainty over complexity. Research supports this. Studies suggest that in group settings, confidence is often valued more than intelligence. People naturally gravitate towards those who express certainty, even if their ideas lack depth. This is why charismatic but simplistic thinkers often gain more influence than those who engage with nuance. Throughout history, populist leaders, media personalities, and influencers have thrived by offering simple answers to complex problems, telling people what they want to hear rather than pushing them to think critically. Meanwhile, those who encourage deep thought frequently find themselves on the margins, struggling to reach a broad audience. This is the paradox of intelligence. The more someone seeks truth, the more they risk alienation. Deep thinking not only exposes flaws in societal beliefs, but it also highlights why society is so resistant to change in the first place. But if intelligence is so threatening, does science back up the idea that people actually fear it? Yes. Neuroscience has found that when individuals feel intellectually outmatched, their brain's amygdala, the area responsible for processing fear and threats, becomes highly active. Essentially, encountering a deep thinker can trigger a biological fear response, similar to encountering a physical danger. But why does intelligence activate the same survival instincts as a physical threat? The answer lies in evolution. For most of human history, survival depended not on individual intelligence, but on belonging to a group. Early humans thrived in tribes where social harmony was essential. Being cast out from the group often meant death. This is why the human brain prioritizes social acceptance over intellectual pursuit. When a deep thinker introduces new ideas that challenge existing social structures, they disrupt the balance, triggering the same fear response as if they were a threat to the tribe itself. A study from Stanford University in 2021 revealed something even more intriguing. People are less threatened by intelligence in one-on-one conversations, but in group settings, the resistance spikes dramatically. Why? Because in social environments, status matters more than truth. When individuals feel outshined intellectually in front of others, they instinctively attempt to undermine or dismiss the deep thinker to protect their social standing. This explains why deep thinkers often find engaging discussions in private but struggle in larger social settings. Psychologists have identified several cognitive biases that further explain society's resistance to intelligence. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Those with limited knowledge often overestimate their intelligence, while highly intelligent individuals tend to doubt themselves. This creates tension. Those who understand less frequently believe they understand more, leading them to reject deeper thinkers. Status quo. Bias. The human brain favors familiar ideas over challenging new ones. Intelligence frequently introduces concepts that disrupt comfort zones, making people resist change. The backfire effect. When people encounter information that contradicts their beliefs, they don't reconsider, they double down on their existing views. This is why deep thinkers often face opposition rather than curiosity. The digital age has amplified this problem. Social media algorithms prioritize engagement over depth, meaning shallow, emotionally charged content spreads faster than thoughtful, well-reasoned discussions. Look at the most viral content. It's simple, sensational, and often misleading. Intellectual discussions rarely go viral because they require effort to engage with. As a result, modern society increasingly rewards entertainment over enlightenment, making it even harder for deep thinkers to gain widespread acceptance. So, where does this leave those who think deeply? The resistance to intelligence isn't just social, it's biological, psychological, and cultural. It's woven into human nature, reinforced by group dynamics, and magnified by modern technology. But this doesn't mean deep thinkers should stop sharing their ideas. Instead, it means they must understand the forces working against them. Society resists intelligence not because it's wrong, but because it disrupts comfort. And in a world that values predictability over truth, disruption is rarely welcomed.